On Bryan Houston's Sports Radio Live.
Here we go, week 1, preseason.
Today on Bryan Houston's Sports Radio Live.
Murphy drives one to right field. Ichiro going back at the wall. Goodbye.
Talk replacement referees. How much longer will they be officiating NFL games?
I think it could go into the regular season now.
Another decision that the Dolphins made as they released wide receiver Chad Johnson.
Cowboy possession. Romo back to pass. Finds Jason Witten. Jason got rocked by Rolando McClain. Loss of 2.
On 99.3 Talk FM, it's Bryan Houston's Sports Radio Live. Here's Bryan Houston.
5 o'clock hour. Glad to have you back here. Thanks very much for joining us. Thanks again to Rickland Holmes, the John Tyler head football coach, for coming back on with us just a little while ago. Team's loaded, ranked number 3 in all the preseason polls. They might win the state championship this year. They just might. Cowboys, I'm not sure could win a district championship right now. And with us on the APEC VIP hotline, cutting edge training for the serious athlete, apecgo.com. From 1310 The Ticket in Dallas, our good friend Donovan Lewis. Do you think they could win a district championship, Don?
Yes. I will put it out there on the line right now and say the Cowboys could win a district championship right now.
Class 5A or lower?
5A.
5A.
They'll be the Class 5A champions.
Awesome. Great. That'll give us something to look forward to in December then, right?
Yeah, they can celebrate with those nice medals, the Dallas Cowboys. It'll be so great.
So what did you think of that mess last night?
I'm glad I set an alarm so someone can wake me up. It was, you can't get too high or too low from a first preseason game. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, if this is the case, Romo's going to lose about 30 pounds a game because he's going to be running for his life the entire time. The interior of that line. Well, you know what? I take that back. I don't want Doug Free to escape this mess. 4 of the 5 spots of that offensive line, starting offensive line, was absolutely ridiculous yesterday. DeMarco Murray had nowhere to go running the ball. Romo had no daylight at all. The one daylight he had Dez for a nice back shoulder 24-yard game. That was, if that's the case, I never thought Bryan was long.
Okay.
I mean, you're sitting back saying, man, he feel constant in the game. Arkin, he's horrible.
You know, that I said earlier, when you hear that much airtime about a center, one of 2 things has happened. Either he is snapping the ball 30 yards over the guy's head,
right?
Okay, or he's missing blocks all night long. And I didn't see the ball going over Romo's head any, but I saw a lot of missed blocks last night.
Well, it's ridiculous. It's and you can always use that excuse that, hey, it's preseason game 1, but if he would have performed well, you would have heard, look at that. Boy, I tell you what, he's really, this draft pick is not a bust. He's making this thing happen. But you sit back and think about Arkin. He was a healthy scratch last year for 16 games. Didn't step foot on the field because he wasn't good enough. They had to go get Montre Holland off of his couch with Skittles falling out of his lap. They had to go get him to bring him in to make this offensive line a little better. They had Arkin, a 4th-round pick, I believe 4th or 5th round. They had him on their roster, and he wasn't good enough to be active not one game last year. And now, yesterday, he's the starting center, and we're all surprised that he sucked. I mean, how can we be? He couldn't get in one single game last year when that offensive line had struggles big time.
And you mentioned him, Doug Free. He lived up to his name. They were running Free right by him all night last night.
Man, I don't understand what the deal is with him. I mean, he really played well that year he got that contract, and he gets his money. He's $32 million contract, and, you don't have to worry about tackle spot. That's held down. And last year he was bad, and last night he was bad. I mean, is this starting to trend? I think we have enough tape. We have enough time to let you know that he's not playing well at all, so he's really going to have to step up because not only if you have to worry about tackle spot along with both guard spots in the center, then the Cowboys are in trouble. and I'm really, really, really trying to temper any frustration or anything because it is preseason game number one, and Arkin is the fourth string center because they do have injuries on that offensive line.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing I wanted to ask you about. I mean, I know as bad as it was, and believe me, I feel the same way you feel right now. But the question is, will it be any better when Costa, Bernardo, and Livings are in the lineup?
Well, we've seen Costa. So I can't imagine it being much better because we've seen him. Now, Livings and Bernardo, that's a different story. I don't know. And I think it will have to be a little bit better since Jerry Jones invested all that money into those two cats when it seems like their own teams didn't even dream about re-signing them. So you just sit back and you think about draft night. And Jerry Jones makes this big splash to go get Claiborne. And you know what? I think is going to be a stud. It really is. But, you sacrifice one spot to make another spot really a strength on your team. So you strengthen cornerback, but now when you could have had a really good guard, a really good center in your first and second rounders, you get Claiborne. So it's robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, you just don't know how it's going to go when you know that the line of scrimmage is an extreme weakness for this Cowboys team. And it really didn't get any better from what we see right now. So if they can, patch it together with some duct tape and some crazy glue, then, maybe they can do something this year. But they got a long way to go.
Yeah, the worst part of this is not only is that an extreme weakness of the Cowboys, defensive lines are extreme strengths of both the Eagles and the Giants.
No doubt about it. And that's you saw in December when they had to play the Giants twice, and the Giants just manhandled the line of scrimmage, and the Cowboys didn't have a chance. So, yeah, you're right. When the Giants rotate 8 guys out on the defensive line and you can barely put a 5-piece together for your offensive line, then they're going to have the advantage. So it doesn't help that they're in this NFC East, and it might not be as strong as it has been in the past, but it's still going to be competitive. We all know that. And that was the downfall of the Cowboys last year. They lost both games to Philly. They lost both games to the Giants. Okay, you got the both against Washington, but that's 2-4, and you're a game away from making the playoffs. So those things are the little differences, man, that keep you from not competing for a championship. And, the Cowboys haven't done that in a while now.
They're not close to a championship right now. I know that. Did you see anything you liked last night?
Yes, the 4 zeros on the scoreboard at the end of the fourth quarter when that freaking game was over with. The defense played okay, but I think the Raiders might have the same questions offensively also. They almost like they weren't even trying, and you had the 12 penalties out there last night, just dumb penalties that kept the Oakland offense on the field. Sure, they held them out of the end zone to held them off the scoreboard, but it's just a lot of work to do. A whole lot of work to do. You have your monsters. You have your DeMarcus Ware. But what I found interesting was that Marcus Spears was in the game a lot. And I think he's going from starter and signing a nice little extension to really fighting for a spot on this team.
Yeah.
Their first preseason game, you have the guys that are not even dreaming about making this squad playing in the second and the third and the fourth quarters. And Spears was out there for a long time. That makes me think, man, he is fighting for a job.
And based on the way he played, it looked like he may get that. If he keeps this up, he played pretty well last night.
Well, if he can play against third or fourth stringers, he'd better dominate.
Good point.
He has to do something.
I'm grasping at straws here, Donnie. Help me, man.
Now, if they stick him into the first team and he plays well like he did last night, okay, well, he deserves a spot on the squad. But I'm telling you, I think he really is fighting for a job right now, boy. I never thought I'd see that. I mean, he hasn't been the greatest, but he can stop the run. But how many run stoppers are you going to pay $4 or $5 million a year on your team?
Good point. Good point. All right. Did they find a third wide receiver? Did they find a second wide receiver? Jeez.
Of course not. No. They have to rotate those guys in and out to see who's going to go out there and make a play. Beasley and Ogletree and Holmes and Harris, they are all fighting And I don't think anyone has a clear lead yet. You know, you could say Holmes, because of his big body, and he can play the outside, and Miles Austin can play the slot. And if you have Dez, Miles, and Holmes out there with Miles in the slot and healthy, man, that's dangerous. That really is dangerous. But it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. I don't think we're going to be too disappointed. I guarantee the Cowboys will be on that waiver wire when the final cuts are made, trying to see if they can get someone a little bit better. And you know what? They probably will. I think I will put a bet down, Brian, that the third is not on his team.
Yeah, I have to agree with you because nobody's stepping forward. Like I said, Holmes looked better than most. I'm still waiting to see Danny Cole, actually get on the practice field. Right. And see what he might have. But Cole Beasley didn't look good last night. I'm done with Ogletree. He needs to go away. And one other thing, too. Here's a suggestion for you. Why don't we put Felix Jones on the offensive line? Because he's just about as big as a tackle now.
I think he is absolutely – I don't want to say he's given up, but he sees the writing on the wall. He knows that Marco Murray, if he stays healthy, he will get 250 carries. And that's just going to make Felix almost irrelevant, and he's not going to be able to play for a good contract because he can't get his butt on the field. I don't understand what happened to that cat. That dude is, man, I really don't get it because I think he has all the potential in the world if they use him in the right spots. But then there are times he can't stay healthy, and then when he's looking good, something that. Yeah, it's like he's been eating a lot of biscuits.
Boy, he looked like Moose Johnson last night, man. I thought, dang, man, he must be hitting the blocking sled. He must be thinking he's going to be one of these, be a fullback or something because, boy, he's huge.
Yeah, maybe he ate the blocking sled. They're like, hey, way to go, Felix. The blocking, he just tore it up. He just burped. He ate it.
It's awful. It's depressing. Now, here's the thing, okay? They play San Diego this weekend. Mm-hmm. We're going to find out a little bit more about the defense because they're going to play a real live offense this weekend against San Diego, okay?
No doubt about it.
In the meantime, Jason Garrett is now sitting here with his coaching staff looking at this film and trying to find something good to say about this offense. I mean, dude, if he can do that, he needs to get a contract extension.
They won't. That's what they can say. He knows. And I think last year he maybe wanted to open it up a little bit, but he couldn't because that offensive line was so atrocious. It doesn't matter how many plays, things, and wrinkles you have. It's on scrimmage, you don't have to use those and the Ryan defense because everyone's just so complex and confusing to the offense. It looks more confusing to the defense than anyone else. They're always running around, seeming they're lined up in the wrong spot. And it's really cool to have all these complex looks and all this other stuff. But if your own defense doesn't understand it, if you don't have the pieces to make it effective, then what's the use? What is it? I've never understood that. He is the one that I believe gets a big time pass because of his name. And
we're losing him here, right? Hey.
You lost me?
No, we got you now. We got you now. Okay.
Yeah, I just think he's so controversial in his name and who his dad and his brother is that I think he gets an absolute pass. And I think sometimes he wants to have this complex defense, but he has to realize that sometimes the pieces aren't there for it to be that complex. You have to get these players in the right positions to make plays. And sometimes I don't think he does that. I think he just says, oh, you know what? Anybody can run this system and it'll be effective. That's not the case. You got to know your personnel. You got to know who you have. So I think it's time for him to step up also and I know you have to have players. Players make the plays, but it is his system. And he's the architect and he's the mad scientist. So he has to realize what he has. For it to be effective. And I just don't think he's doing that right now.
All right, I want to switch gears real quickly because I know up in your area, in the neck of the woods right now, people are absolutely killing Michael Young today. I mean, he is getting skewered, man.
He really is.
Where do you stand on this? Should Michael Young, should they just like shut him down like Strasburg for the rest of the season or what?
I don't think there's any way they can do that and still win. I know the dude might not be effective on the diamond right now, but he is the heartbeat of that team. And if you shut him down, I think you shut the team down. That might sound crazy. It sounds crazy when I just let it leave my lips there a little bit, but I think you need that cat because I think there's a situation where he's gonna be at the plate and he's gonna fail 8 out of 9 times before, but that one time he's gonna make the thing happen and it's gonna be crucial. So I'm loyal. I've been a Rangers fan my whole life through the good and the bad times, and they need that dude. They need to go deep and go far.
So you think even with the kind of season he's had, he still has the locker room like he does?
He's the absolute leader, and it's not even close.
Wow.
They all look to him. They all do. He's the controller of the music. The controller of the music in the locker room, in the clubhouse is King. And he's the controller of the music, and I know that because I've asked him before, and he is. He is the absolute leader on that squad, and they do need him. Now, he has to be effective. You know, you sit him down a day, give him time to rest or whatnot, okay. But if the Rangers are going to make a World Series run, they got to have Michael Young in the lineup. They really do.
Okay, all right. And by the way, too, and perhaps you haven't noticed or heard, and if you haven't been watching TV or something, every 30 seconds we found out Tim Tebow's birthday's today.
Yeah. I mean, he probably didn't even have to blow his own candles out. I think somebody one of the disciples or something may have helped him out. I don't know.
Well, you know he's being called Sexy Jesus today too. So I mean,
gosh, that's so ridiculous.
GQ baby, GQ's got him.
And you know what? Tim Tebow's running the Wildcat because I know that because ESPN lets me know that every 15 seconds. Also, the Jets are practicing the Wildcat. Just want you to know, Brian.
Man, we need a breaking news sounder right now. I mean, go ahead, Craig.
This is from the fake ESPN on Twitter. Today is also Magic Johnson's birthday, but it's completely overshadowed by the birthday of an unused Johnson. So there you go.
Wow. All right.
Wow.
I like it.
Here's another one. Breaking. Tim Tebow just blew out all of his birthday candles. 100%. Next on SportsCenter, full analysis with a candle-by-candle breakdown. Golly, man.
Wow.
It's tough, boy. It is tough out there today.
Yeah.
Hey, Donnie, we really appreciate you coming on with us, man, always, and we look forward to talking to you next week.
All right, let's do it. My pleasure, man. Talk to you next week.
Good deal. Donovan Lewis, 1310 The Ticket on Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live on 99.3 Talk FM. Oh, by the way,